Sadiq Khan has allowed a racist Monopoly game to be distributed in the primary schools of London in order to target white children. You're not going to believe this story. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. Thank you so much for watching this rather depressing video. Please do subscribe to the channel, but also hit the bell notification icon. It's the only way to absolutely guarantee you get all of my videos as soon as they are released. Well, let's take a step back, because sometimes this channel might seem a bit ranty and a bit moany, but I want to say to you, as somebody who's worked in local councils in the City of London and indeed at the European Parliament and the National Parliament indeed, I have met an awful lot of politicians, and the vast majority of them want to bring people together. They care about people. Sometimes they have stupid views and they might be completely misguided, but there's very few of them that are fundamentally nasty. That's not true of Sadiq Khan. Sadiq Khan's motivation for going into politics is not to bring people together, it's to create division and hatred amongst people. Look at when he was campaign manager for Ed Miliband's bid to be the leader of the Labour Party. Of course, Ed Miliband was running against his own brother, David Miliband. The two started off reasonably good with each other. No, actually not reasonably good with each other. They loved each other very dearly and had existed in the same world for a long time. By the end of the election, David Miliband left the country. The hatred between the two brothers was unbelievable, and that was Sadiq Khan. Look at the state of Bromley, the way that Sadiq Khan has brought in the ULEZ charge, and of course, that has been so damaging and so divisive, and the people of Bromley genuinely do not want to be in an ultra-low emission zone. It's costing them an absolute fortune, and Sadiq Khan has pushed forward anyway. By the way, he was told that those vehicles that were decommissioned were supposed to go to Ukraine. He is absolutely refusing to do that. The people of Ukraine want these vehicles, and I think we should do that. Some of you will agree, some of you will disagree. Not all of you agree with my stance on Ukraine. But my point is this: Sadiq Khan dines out on hatred, dines out on division, dines out on the othering of people. He's very much a divide and conquer kind of guy. And he's one of the few people like that. By the way, I'm comfortable calling him a racist, and I'll explain why. Because there was that style guide that the government of London produced, which said that no longer should white families be depicted in their literature, whereas one man, one woman, and say 2 or 3 white children. That doesn't represent London anymore, apparently, and so it should never be shown. I think that was racist, and I do not accept that he didn't see the style guide. I think he did see it, and he was comfortable with that racism. So certainly the administration is racist, and I think it's reasonable to say that as head of that administration, he is racist too. But here is this extraordinary story. A former consultant from the BBC, of course it's a consultant from the BBC, has said that now we should be distributing a leaflet in schools, and it has been distributed in London, it's been distributed in Southampton and Leicestershire as well, which says that when white children play Monopoly, they should be given a house before they even start the game, genuinely, and they should be given more money than black children. The reason is to show them how white privilege is making them better and more successful, to understand that they get an advantage in life that their black and Asian and Chinese counterparts do not get. This is aimed at 3-year-olds at the minimum age. What a nightmare this really is. We've seen this critical race theory be so damaging to young people already. And I think that pushing it forward to primary schools is dreadful. Do you know something? I saw Steve Bannon speak outside Danbury Correctional Facility, where he'd been sent for 4 months over that ludicrous charge by Nancy Pelosi that he was in contempt of Congress. And he said, what we need to do now is get beyond the racial divisions, get beyond this new gender ideology that's being shoved down our throats. And I'll tell you why they're doing it. Because what they fundamentally want, what Sadiq Khan wants to do, is, some people call it the Great Replacement Theory, and some people say the Great Replacement Theory is a conspiracy theory. Let me tell you the truth of the matter. These people are addicted to cheap labour. They want to say to ordinary white working class people that they don't have the right to demand a decent wage, to demand a decent lifestyle, to demand a house. The more immigration goes up, the more poverty goes up, the more home ownership goes down. And that's something that should not be tolerated. Do you know, that if Sadiq Khan succeeds in his plan, 50,000 Londoners will be put out on the street in favour of migrants? Do you know that 5,000 hotel rooms are kept free for migrants at any one time? Do you know that whilst Germany deports 80% of illegal migrants that enter the country, we deport something like 10%? It's absolutely risible and disgraceful. But imagine what it must be like now to be a parent like my two brothers. If your kid grows up in London, then you are going to experience something really dreadful, which is that no literature comes from the government of London with any white faces on it or white families on it anymore, because you're the enemy. Similarly, you are being told that you are responsible for the objectification of black people. You are also responsible for the rape culture. And by the way, the rape culture is not the responsibility of white indigenous people for the most part. It is these young, horny men coming from across the world. Remember, very few women and children come in. But you're being told all this. You're being foisted all of this information upon yourself, being told that you're racist just by virtue of the colour of your skin. That is the most racist thing I've ever heard. And you know what these people also say? You can't be racist if you're a minority going for a majority. Hang on, what does that mean? So if I racially discriminate against a black or Asian or Chinese person, that is racism. But if they racially discriminate against me, it's not technically racism because I'm in the majority. Now, let me tell you why that is utterly ludicrous, because that would be a fair justification for apartheid South Africa. Yes, that's right. A minority, white people, oppress the majority, black people, on racial grounds. Are we saying that that isn't racist? Of course it's racism. Well, I'm going to say something in defence of my nieces and nephews. I'm going to say that actually they weren't born evil. They aren't bad people. We, as a country, fought a war against slavery. I'm perfectly happy, by the way, to pay reparations to the Caribbean, as long as then Angola pays reparations to us for the sale of slaves. Spain pays reparations to us for the fact we had to fight a slave war, and the Caribbean then pays reparations to us again for the fact that we protected their citizens from being kidnapped and still continue to do so. What about the issue of slavery being bigger in the world now than ever before? What about the slave market of Addis Ababa? Do you know something? Pakistan has more slaves now than it has ever had before. And I'll tell you something, the number of slaves in London, have you seen those people begging on the streets with the hands up like this? They are modern day slaves. Many people have been trafficked from countries like Romania to work as slaves. And yet, all of this is in order to send a message that white people are evil and white people are not welcome. And what does Sadiq want to do? Well, first of all, I would tell you that Sadiq Khan wants to divide and rule. He wants to create hatred. He wants to create division. That's his main aim. The fact that he's running racist policies is not actually something inherently within him. He wants to sit there and create a situation in which people are now going to open the doors for unlimited mass immigration, something that we cannot allow to happen. Oh, and by the way, let me just leave this as a final thought for you. We are talking about this monopoly leaflet saying that young people should be told that they have white privilege, and it's been sent out by who? A consultant on race to the BBC. Well, let me tell you something about the BBC and racism. First of all, almost everyone I know from the BBC is a middle-class, privately educated, university-educated white person. They want to kick away the ladder of opportunity from working-class white kids in order to placate their own guilt for something or other. By the way, I'll tell you, you never used to be able to get, what is it, a panini or a craft beer in Salford until the BBC moved over there. But here's one thing that I think the BBC should do. How about they deal with the abuse in their own ranks? I work for News UK. Can you imagine what would happen if News UK issued an edict that said the following? Hey guys, to all the presenters, please don't have a teen sex party in your dressing room after you finish your show. Please don't do what Hugh Edwards did. And by the way, this is what he did. he was contacted by a paedophile on Instagram, and then he went for a beer with him and bought child pornography off him. What a situation to be in. And these people are running amok in our national broadcaster. I think the BBC need to get their own house in order. And I think Sadiq Khan needs to get his own house in order as well. Because the reality is, this is a man who is presiding over a disaster in London. The people of Bromley complaining about ULEZ is one thing, but the catastrophic financial losses of Transport for London, the choking of the streets by the catastrophic management of traffic, the disaster that is office workers no longer wanting to go into offices, the disaster that is loss of the travel card, which means that people no longer want to come into London. All of these things need to be dealt with. I say Sadiq Khan needs to end this racist regime. Thank you so much for watching. Please do subscribe. Until next time, goodbye.